All right, we are ready. So, for people who are following along at home, in the last episode we installed Amazon Cognito, and we had our user signing up and registering and doing all those things. But now we've got to give the user an ability to log in. So that's the next task to do here. And once we've got the user logging in, we're essentially done with for now, we're essentially done with authenticating users onto our site. So as a recap, here's the user service. This is the save part of the user service, and this is what we built last time. We added in the AWS client, we called sign up, we sent the email, the password, the first name, last name, and when we ran that code in our user pool, we had users. Now, my user pool right now doesn't have a user because I'm using technology called CloudFormation, which tears down the user pool and brings it back every time I need it. So what you're actually looking at is a brand new user pool. And every time I probably do one of these episodes, there will be that. So as a result, we'll have a different app client. So we need to put that in here because that's the old app client. Now, eventually we will put this in an environment variable, but for now, all I'm interested in is seeing the process work end to end, and then what we'll do is we'll go back and clean up those kind of things. So the other thing we did in the last episode was we referred to this really good blog article by, what's this guy's name? Sand and Nape. Probably not pronouncing that correctly, who takes us through this PHP Overflow in a really, really good amount of details. So we're going to continue on with this, and this is the code that we're interested in today. So this is the sign-in code. So yeah, let's go ahead and build that. So the first thing that I really need to do is add a login form. So at the moment we're at localhost 8000 login, and we're getting a 404. And the reason we're getting a 404 is because we don't actually have any routes set up for the login form. So I'm going to do that now, public index.php. All right, so here's our routes file. We've got a register, which points to users new. We've got users create, which points to users create. So that's the method that gets, or the route that gets posted to. The next thing we want to create is a route that will instantiate a new session. So we're going to have session new. Actually, rather, what I'll do is we'll call this login, and this will point to session new because we're RESTful and we're creating a session. So this will be session new. And then we also want session create, and that will actually perform the action of logging in. And for that, I'll probably just call it session create for lack of a better name. A user would never go to this directly. So yeah, session create is fine there. And actually we're using the exact same pattern here really. So session new, session create. So let's create those views for ourselves now. So I'm going to go into views. We have to make the views session. I think I have these capitalized. Session users. Actually, this should be sessions. Let's keep consistent. Sessions. Yep. Okay. So now views sessions there. Okay. Empty file. New.php. All right. So let's copy our last user view, because that's pretty much what we've got, what we need rather. So here, empty header, and we need empty footer, and then we're just going to take this whole form Now, I have a feeling that I called the style sheet sign up here, so I might leave that for now, but yeah, the ID sign up probably doesn't make much sense. And here we'll get rid of first name, last name, because this is not a sign up form, and we'll get rid of password confirm. And then here we'll change start collab now to login. Login. And then the post, this won't be users create, this will be sessions create, like that. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. There might be a problem with the header and footer. Let's find out. Yep. So yeah, I think actually, let me just make sure. No such file or directory. Sessions new. Oh no, hang on a second. Oh yeah, empty header. Yeah. So what's going on there? Oh, the file browser has totally glitched out on me. Yeah, my... Oh, there we... alright, close. Okay, cool. So in our projects, PHP, sites, collab, views. So header and footer here, and then in sessions, sorry, not sessions, it was users. Yeah, we've got empty header and empty footer. So what we'll do is we'll just move these up to views itself, and then both sessions and users can share those, and we'll do that for now. So I think what we want to do here is go /... and /... and then we'll want to do the same. We'll want to do the same thing here. So we go /... /... All right, cool. So this is going to say this is kind of the sign up greeting. Let's just change this as well. I'm not going to be too fussy about it. So welcome to collab into email password to login. Okay. All right. So here's our I'll just say login. Yeah, it's a bit weird. We might think about how we're going to do this best. I probably want a title in the form there, but I'm not going to get too kind of wrapped up on what it should and shouldn't be at this point. All right, so we got the login, and then when we submit, it's going to someone at somewhere.com, password secret, login, don't save. Okay, so it's hitting sessions create, and we've got a 404. Now, I thought we did actually define that route, so let's go back and make sure we did. Views sessions create. Oh no, we don't have the file. Okay, create.php, like that. All right, and then the same thing we did with the template. We'll just copy the users create.php. Cool. And I'm just gonna grab that. For now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna redirect to root, and we're gonna assume that the login process worked. Well, actually, let's not do that because we don't actually have to do that. Let's build the behavior in to handle that properly. Sessions. So sessions. What was it? User service. Sessions service. Okay, so we need a session. We need a service to run all of our sessions, and we'll send it an email and password, and then I would imagine what we would like is a try catch in here, and then here in our catch. So this will what we'll do is we'll throw an error when the user can't log in, and then in this case we'll take them back to login. And in this case, when everything is successful, we'll take them back to root. 303 may not be the right status code for here. Actually, let's just quickly check that now. Because it is a slightly different redirect. 303, status code redirect 303. See other... not Wikipedia, probably. Maybe. Yeah. No, we could probably use 303 for now. Yeah. No, I'm fine with that for now. All right, so let's just go with a 303. That looks pretty good to me then in this case. And then basically all we need now is the service. So I'm going to go eSource application. And we're going to go sessions service.php. And again, as before, I'm just going to copy an existing service just to make sure I get all of the syntax right, because I will no doubt make a mistake while I'm typing. Collab application user service sessions service. And then following the pattern that we've already got, we probably want to do a save as well here. But in this case, all we need is email and password. Email and password. Let's close that. Email, string, password. The other thing so when we call Cognito and we tell it to authenticate, it's going to give us back a token. We'll need to persist that in a cookie somehow, and I think the view will need to do that. The other thing we probably want is the client, and then let's grab our constructor. We don't need PDO here yet. Get rid of that. Okay, so that's the service as I see it now. Let's go back to the blog article and we're going to grab this. And then we're going to paste it in. I'll just format this. Okay, so not Authflow, we may have to look up what this actually does. I can't remember off the top of my head. User pool ID and auth parameters, email and password. Now, interestingly, I just want to see in our users service, username I am actually in fact setting to the sanitized email. So that will be email, I'm guessing. Email, and then the password will be password, that's fine. Now I've already updated this client ID, so it'll be that. And then the user pool ID, we'll have to go back to AWS. It is blowing a gale outside. And now I think it's this here. But again, what we'll need to do is we'll need to get that EP Southeast 2, is that right? We'll need to get those environment variables happening in our app, because this is just going to be way too annoying for me to paste these in every time. 2p0n rather, 2p0n. Let's just confirm that. I think I did update it. 2p0n. Okay, cool. So that's all of that. And then the other thing that was significant here was the access token. So it's this access token that we want to return, and that's what we'll need to like validate the session, and that's what the client will have to remember. So here, I think the easiest thing for us to do is write a cookie. So if we go back to the view, so a cookie, so for those who are kind of new to all of this, a cookie is a piece of data that's saved inside the client browser, they're scoped to the site that you're on. So like if I'm writing a cookie on, say, site.a.com, no one from site B can read it. So they're considered secure in that way. There are a few security holes that you need to be aware of when using cookies. The other thing that's worth mentioning is these days the web is kind of pushing away from cookies in the traditional sense of the way they were used, and sort of more kind of focusing on like modern sort of storage engines. Like the browser has a lot of storage engines these days, like there's session storage and local storage and etc. And those storage engines are probably preferred these days for a few reasons that aren't worth getting into. But just understand that the web at this point, in my opinion, is probably moving a little bit away from cookies. But it's still a valid approach for what we want to do now. And the advantage to actually using a cookie in this situation is we don't have to buy in with a whole bunch of JavaScript. Because if we wanted to use those new browser storage engines, we'd have to pull in JavaScript, we'd have to start writing that. And we are definitely going to get to JavaScript at some point or another in this series. But I don't want to bring it in yet. What I want to do is I want to deliver a working PHP application first, and then worry about doing fancy things like JavaScript. Because when you bring in JavaScript, you need to bring in Node, you need to bring in minification, you need to do this, you need to do that. So we definitely don't want to do that today. So for now, we're going to use a cookie, but just understand that that's kind of the way the wind is blowing on the web, and we will definitely explore that. So, with that all said, let's go and actually figure out how to write a cookie in PHP. PHP, write a cookie. Cookie. Set cookie? It is raining cats and dogs out there. Set cookie. Name value. Oh, that's what I love about PHP. Test cookie value. Cool. So we probably want to expire our cookie, set cookie. And then I'm presuming there's like a read cookie maybe. Oh, here we go. Once the cookies have been set, they can be accessed on the next page load with cookie. Cookie values may also exist in request. Okie dokie. So that's all pretty simple so far. So let's go back to our... Okay, so this is where we're creating... This is where we're creating the session. So yeah, here, set cookie, login token. Let's call it token. Token. Yep. All right, so set cookie token. So note we could call set cookie here, but then at this point, this class, the session service class, would have to know like what HTTP is and would be relying on a particular context. So we're not doing that from here. We're doing that in our view, which is a much better idea. Note it as well that we don't set the cookie here because this is what happens when the login attempt fails. Right, so that's good so far. I guess there's nothing else left other than to try and let's try that and see what happens. Now I would expect at this point, yes, we want to resend. I would expect at this point we're getting a 404 sessions create. Have I properly set up my route? I thought I did. Public index. Sessions create, sessions create. Session. Not pluralized. And we've got sessions. Okay, refresh, resend. Alright, core exception. EXCEPTION. Because we need to go. I don't think I've got the namespace. Maybe I have. Core context line 44. EPTION and context. Huh. Line 44. Aha. Right. So this is code that I had written that actually has never run because I've never uncovered this type of error. And that is not what I expected it to do. Let's keep going though. Secret. Don't save it now. Okay, so I think what's happening is my login isn't working and it's redirecting me back to the login page. And we're actually getting a 303 here. And there's our payload going up. So it looks like the post is working. So what I'm going to do is, for now, in that view, we could debug it. Would probably be slightly more elegant to debug. But for now, let's... My goodness, it is absolutely pouring out there. For now, why don't we just disable the redirects? And then any error that comes out, we'll be able to see. Secret, login, don't save. Huh. Can we see storage? Cookies? Okay, so it's not writing the cookie. Do you know what? For now, I think actually what's happening is because we're catching the exception and not doing anything, we're potentially swallowing the exception. So that maybe that exception handling is not such a good idea. Let's just try that again. Resend. Yeah. Okay. So I think what we're doing is swallowing the exception, which we don't want to do. Component not found session service. Right. Okay. So yeah, we definitely don't want to do this for now. At very least, we don't want to capture this, like the generic exception, because that's actually swallowing other exceptions that we wouldn't really ever want to swallow. So we'll fix that up in a second. What I'm more interested in doing is setting up our context correctly so it actually knows about the session service. So we can do that here. So if I go to next line, this will be sessions service. This render component sessions service session service, and obviously we want to instantiate a sessions service, and then we want to get rid of that. And so all we're passing into this now is the AWS client. It's the same AWS client that we're instantiating in the other place, in the other service there. So I think that's good for now. Let's go and run it again. Boom. Resend. Session service not found, probably because we don't have the use statement properly put in. So let's do that. Sessions service. Reload. Resend. Okay. Session service construct must be in Cognito identity provider client. I think users. I think this might be yeah, it's because we don't have this. So this has got to go under here. Alright, let's try that again. Resend. Uncalled error, call to member function on null. Because I'm not calling this. So this AWS client. I always forget to do that. That's what you get when you paste code directly in from the internet. Resend. Okay, this looks a little more serious. On etc. etc. Client error post resulted in sites wrapped HTTP handler. Cognito error executing that on there resulted in a 400 bad request response. User IAM is not authorized to perform. Interesting. I think yeah, I think what's happening here is the user that I've configured to run auth, or rather the default user that the AWS client is currently using on this Linux machine, my machine now, is not authorized to log in. So what I'm going to have to do at this point is pause the video, because I've got to do a bit of fiddling around with AWS permissions, and that's going to be long and boring. So we're going to pause here, and I'm going to fix this issue, and I'll be back. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. Essentially, what was happening is the user that was accessing Cognito as the user that the application was acting on the behalf of to access Cognito didn't have access to the particular Cognito auth flow that we needed to that we're using. And as a result, we were getting a permissions issue. So what I did was I set up a separate policy, attached it to my current user, and now everything works. If you guys want me to do a separate video on Amazon permissions, I'm more than happy to do that. They're pretty involved. They're incredibly powerful, but they're a little bit dry, particularly when you get started. So yeah, permissions aside, we're here now. The other thing that I had to do was, in the user pool itself, I had to enable username and password for admin APIs, so this flow here, to get things working. So that's not enabled by default, and I'll probably put it into my CloudFormation template. So anyway, so what it's saying now is the user doesn't exist, which is where we want to be. And if I do go to the users listing, we don't have any users found. So let's go through the sign up process again. REGIST, and we'll register a user. We're gonna go someone at somewhere.com. We're gonna say first name is Stuart Matheson, secret SECRET. Now, I actually have to change one thing. So yeah, we want to have a really insecure password for now because I couldn't be bothered typing in anything else other than secret. So I've just gone through and disabled some of the default policies, so it should allow me to set this crappy secret password. Don't save for now. Alright, so let's assume that that's worked. So this is a behavior that we had from last episode. Refresh that. There we go. Enabled, unconfirmed. We should be able to still log in, hopefully. Someone at somewhere, secret SEC RET, log in. Okay, so got another error. User not confirmed exception. Now that's interesting. I would have thought maybe we can set the policy. Now if I go in here, I think I can just go confirm user, we're confirmed here, and then I can refresh, resend, and that's worked, and there is our token, so that's good. I'm wondering if we can set up our users attributes. Users can sign themselves up. Recover, verify. See, we've got no verification there. Maybe Amazon in being secure, as Amazon is being secure by design, maybe they just simply just don't let you they simply just don't let you sign up without being verified, probably for the best. Yeah, I'm not seeing resource servers, federation. Yeah, so it looks like you have to verify users in some way or another, which seems reasonable to me. Okay, that aside, it looks like everything's working nicely. So let's go back to our sessions view, session create, and we've got our token. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this try catch for now. I was a little bit preemptive with that. For now, we just want to let all of the errors bubble up, and we want to redirect back here. So if I let's just make sure that that's working again. Now, how will we do this? We'll go to login. There's our login form. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go cookie token, and we're going to delete token localhost. So what this is basically doing now is we're logging ourselves out the hard way. Someone at somewhere, secret for my password, log in. Okay, cool. So that's awesome. So what that's done is that's logged us in, and it's redirected us back to the index page. And then if I go back to my cookie store, there's my token that's persisted. All beautiful, all nice, fantastic. So with all of that having been done, the last thing we really need to do is to confirm that our security layer is actually blocking users. So the problem that we've got at the moment is if I delete the token, I effectively log myself out, and then I refresh, this doesn't actually do anything, right? Like it's not blocking me to view the main site. So what I should be seeing right now is like a 401 or something like that. So what we need to do is integrate Cognito, or the setup we've got with Cognito, with our current security layer that we built in a previous episode. So let's revisit that just quickly. If I go here, and we're going for time, try and rip through this as quick as possible. So we'll go to security context. Yeah, so this is our security context. It gets email, it gets display name. We construct it here. Do we? No, but this was actually, so that's where we get the current logged in data. There was also, we've got no op security. Right, okay, so here's our no op security. So essentially what we want to do is we want to re-implement no op security into, I don't know, Cognito security, I suppose. And we want to read the data in from the cookie and make sure that everything's valid. So the way we do that is here. So we call get user, use our access token, and then we can return sort of any user data that we need to. Just wondering at this point, interestingly, where that should live. Probably in the validate method, because that gets called every... Yeah, we probably want that to live in the validate method. And then I guess we can set the current user from there. The other thing that we have to do is we have to figure out how we're going to get the cookies into this class. And the way that I want to do that is with a request class. So we're going to do that now. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do this. We construct. So if we go back to our index.php, here we execute our router with a current path, and that current path is the query parameter that we set up. So really, I guess what we need is an incoming request, new request, maybe, and then set path, current path, request, set token, and then here it's cookie token like this, and that'll either be null or it will be the access token that has been issued to us by Cognito. So I guess in this situation, router execute string path. Yeah, so rather than a path, what we want to do is we want to set up our own request object. So we're going to source call. Now, do I already have one? Yes, I do, but we're not using it. Okay. So get path, set path, and then set token, get token, and then private string path, private string token, set token, no, stop token equals token, like that, and then we want to go string token. This doesn't have a return type. Get token does. Set path does not. Path string like that. And then we want to say this path equals path like that. Okay. So get path, set path, set token, get token. Construct. Don't think we necessarily want one just yet. We just check if the namespace is right here. Collab core, yeah, that'll do. And then we want to go request. So the router, when it executes, use collab core request, like that. And then on execute, we want to go request. Current path. And then let's request. Use collab core request like that. And then that gets passed in. And then let's call that request. So then in our security layer, we've got our no-op security for now. Validate, get context. So I guess our validate should and here our validate wants to accept a request. I'll request like that. Well, actually, no, it should do that, but we'll need to, we'll need to update the, implement the interface as well. So, like that. And then we'll need to go into iSecurity. And then, yeah, we need to change this. So, and that'll be our own like request object. request. So for now, we'll just do it like that. Just wondering. No, actually, I'm not wondering. That's fine. Yep, so like that, and then let's make sure our no-op security is still right. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then obviously the next step would be to implement the a source call Cognito security. So we want to implement the Cognito security layer, and it is essentially this. Touch source. Yeah. Touch. Can't open file for writing. That's a bit strange. Why can't we do that? Huh. Why can't I touch source core? I didn't have a capital C. Cognito security.php. Okay, there we go. So let's go no op security. And here's Cognito security. There we go. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to grab this. And we want to put it here. Whoops. Okay, let's... Now our access token will be request get token, like that. So that's what will be passed in from... that's what will be passed in from our request object and our index. And then here we want to return false. And then if we're here, we want to... Actually, what we want to do is we want to go to this user. And that'll be this client get user. We'll also move that to up here. Use, just to clean up this bit of code a little bit more. So I think I can just come back and do that. And then at this point we return true. The only thing that I don't know now is what the type is. Yeah, what the user type is. The other thing that we'll need is a function construct. And we will copy our users service. So this is what we... So this will be the identity provider client. Yeah, we're calling it AWS client. So again, AWS client. Let me just make sure. I think he's in his article. He's referred to the he's referring to the same client everywhere. So yeah, we just need to copy this pattern. Let's just call it Cognito security and ITO security. We get that called AWS client. And then here we want to say this AWS client get user access token, etc, etc, etc. Let's just drop that down to the next line to make it a bit more readable. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We're gonna have to... I don't think I have to change the interface when I change the constructor like that. We'll find out though. The other thing I want to do is CGNIT provider client v3 PHP. So I just want to find out the exact type namespace of that user, object. What's the method we're calling AWS client get user? Get user. Huh. Cognito identity client, is it? Cognito identity provider, I think. This is the mistake I made last. Cognito identity provider, I think it's this one. Cognito identity provider client. And we want to get user. Is there a get user? Get user. Okay. Result. User attributes. Result details. Doesn't actually tell us the type. Result details. Errors. It seems to just return an array representing. Right, so I guess we just want to pull these out, and it's just, whoops, it's just an array, I suppose. So let's do that. We might get our debugger on this and just make sure. But for now, all right, let's just clean this up a little bit. Result, and then user equals result, and then user attributes. Believe that's the easiest way to refer to an array in PHP, an associative array. Now the other thing we need to do is we need the use for the client. Let's put that in here. I don't know the difference between having a slash and a no slash. I don't think it matters. All right. Yes. Function construct AWS client. Cool. All right. So let's head back to our context now. And then all we need to do here is replace our no-op security with our Cognito security, and then we want to pass in the AWS client to here, and that's all we should have to do. I'm going to, now interestingly we don't, I think the namespace is just available. Let's try that. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's reload. Alrighty. Argument passed to set token must be of type string null given. Aha. So this is because we're not logged in. So at this point, what we're saying is if we don't have an access token, we're not logged in at all. Now, the way I'm handling this with the get parameter is I'm just passing an empty string. I don't really like this approach, but given the length of this video already, we will run with scissors and use the same pattern here, but we probably will need to clean this up later because I'm not that happy about it. So cookie token, here cookie token or empty string, and then we'll say we'll just use the same. So we'll say current token, and then over here what we'll do is we'll say if request now PHP is empty string. Is there a way to do this? Empty. Checking if a string is empty. Considered to be empty string. Okay, cool. So request.get token. Oops. token, we'll say empty, which is a built-in method. So if it's empty, we'll just return false straight away, so everyone can deal. Have I got the wrong number of parentheses there? Yep. Okay, yeah, so if it's empty, just return false. Otherwise, try our whole auth thing, and then if we get an error, return false there. So reload that. Too few arguments. Validate. 0 passed. Yes, because we haven't set the context. Router, I think it'll be in the router. We haven't passed the request through, so let's do that. Okay, that's never fun when that happens. Network. Okay, so that's giving us an unauthorized, which is what I would expect to happen. Now, interestingly, we'll be getting an unauthorized everywhere, which we definitely don't want. Yeah, we definitely don't want to do this. So the problem is at the moment that our router doesn't know when to throw a security exception and let the route pass through, because we have no way of saying this is a secure route and this isn't a secure route. So I'm going to pause the video at this point, and we're going to figure this out because it's probably going to take a little bit longer than I would like, and this episode has already run really long. Okay, so we are starting to get to the home stretch. I've done a little bit of programming off camera. Just be aware that I'll link to the, in the description in YouTube, I'll link to the full commit so you can see all of the changes that I've made. But essentially what I've done is I've gone, if you go into my routes file, I've added an extra boolean. I've added an extra boolean to the router route function, and that basically determines whether the route is secure or not. Now, ordinarily, what I probably want to do is build some sort of system that treated security as an extra middleware layer, but we don't care about that today. All we want to do is get the thing working. We'll definitely look at middleware in a future episode, but for now, we're doing it this way. So essentially, yeah, I've marked all of the routes as either secure or not secure, and then here at the is secure, I instantiate my new route with that flag, and then my router, when it gets a route match, it tests the security, and then the security will ask, is it a secure route? If it is, then it'll validate. If it fails the validation, then we throw a security exception, which results in a 401. If it passes the validation, hopefully we get a logged in user. So at this point, let's test everything works. So if I go to storage and we look at under cookies, we don't have a cookie, so let's go someone at somewhere and secret SECRET login, and there we go. So we've got the session. So if I refresh, we're logged in. Now I should be able to delete this token, and at that point I should see a 401. So let's refresh, and if we go back to the network tab, sure enough, there it is, 401. So that means that our authentication system is working, and some of our routes are secure and some aren't. The only thing that I would kind of like to look at is populating, and if I'm just going to go back, Cognito security. I would like to definitely populate the get context. So what I'm really interested in doing is seeing if this user is actually getting set properly. So to do that, I am going to open up VS Code, which I've set up for debugging. And I'm going to pull that down onto a different desktop. Okay. And then I'm going to go into my Cognito security here. And I'm going to stick a breakpoint right there. And then I'm going to start the debugger. And now, when I log in, I am hoping, secret, I am hoping that that breakpoint is going to be hit. Yes. Oh, that's the wrong breakpoint. Undefined index token. Here we go. Okay. And then if we go this, user array, aha, beautiful. So these are all of our logged in user details. Fantastic. Email verified false. Name, Stuart. Email, perfect. So what we can do here is we can go, let's go up into Vim because I just find VS Code not where I want to type. So we'll go email. Let's just look at how that array is organized. So it's name value. So I think what we want to do is we want to go email is the third. So we've got 0, 1, 2, 3. So we'll go email. Nope, here. Email equals this. User 3, and then I think it's value. We're probably better off looping through these. Yeah, it'd be much better to loop through these and just detect like the name. This probably isn't the best way to do it. So, but we can always clean this up later because this episode is running really long. So let's just run with scissors and do it the dodgy way. And then, yeah, like I said, we can always clean that up later. 3, and then the name is in 2. So name 2 values. So 3 value, and then display name. Oops. Display name will be this user 2 value, like that. Get rid of that. Put these on, semicolons. Cool. Alright, let's give that a whirl. I'm going to just stop my debugger for the moment because I just want the program to run through. Refresh, and beautiful. Display name is in there. That's from what we've already set up. And if you cast your mind back to an old episode, well, not that old really, we put the email details into our form, and that is getting populated by Cognito as well. So there you go. We have an end-to-end authentication solution without having to build really much at all, but we've got a really sophisticated integration. Well, we've got a simplistic integration with a very sophisticated system, which is Amazon Cognito. And we didn't have to bring in any libraries to build it. So thank you very much, guys. Sorry this episode ran for a lot longer than I thought. I'll link to the source code and the and this particular commit so you can see all of the code. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we will be back with a new episode very, very shortly.